好，欢迎各位说教授、老师、学者，还有很多研究生来参加我们第一次华梵外文系主办的这个学术研讨会。那我们第一场请来的老师是台大名誉教授林耀福老师。Next year we are going to call for papers and maybe have 2 or 3 more sessions. All right. So let us welcome Professor Lin to give us his insight into the future of S in Taiwan and our studies. All right. Thanks.
It is a real honor to be given the opportunity to say a few words about eco-criticism and related topics today. And I'm going to talk about a new politics in eco-criticism, which I call the politics of the body, which seems to me to be what the eco-critics are trying to create and to establish. What we call eco-criticism, the ecological literary criticism, as Karl Popper calls it. Okay. But it seems to me that this politics of the body is best exemplified in this new old genre we call nature writing. And I hope to read 1 or 2 or 3 poems, and part of the poems by Whitman to demonstrate what I mean by politics of the body. So I'm going to start to read from my manuscript. Okay, I'll sit down. Can I? The famous saying, "In wildness is the preservation of the world," is from us. And then I like this line from Robert Jeffers, who says, "A little too abstract, a little too wise. Now is the time for us to kiss the earth again. It's real." Okay. And then I also quote from No Matter to my point of standard. Okay, so I'll read. The ecological consciousness that emerged in the late 50s and early 60s with the rise of the counterculture, intensified as well as broadened by the publication of Richard Carson's Silent Spring, has engendered a discourse that bears the clear imprint of its genesis. Selected as the most influential book of the past 50 years, Silent Spring addresses an issue that is, in the opinion of Vice President Al Gore, and I quote, "arguably the most important of our era," end quote. Indeed, the enormity of the environmental crisis that Carson had brought home to the general public perforce makes ecological discourse a crisis discourse. A crisis discourse, by nature, carries a genetic urge to go beyond itself, that is, to be more than just disinterested theory, but also survival. We're concerned with survival. In this case, survival not only of the discourser and his race alone, that's not on humans, but also birds and insects, the whole earth as well. They're not humans. Thus, ecological discourse has as its program the search for an ethic that would redefine the nature of nature, the relationship of humans and nature, and address the question of domination among others, all in a language that endeavor to shed the esoteric abstractness that plagues much of humanist discourse, the construction, whatever. In the course of its development, it has come to share many of the interests and concerns of other minority and green movements, say, feminist movement, and their forces converging to form a culture that is of paradigmatic significance. The appearance of nature writing and the still incipient ecological literary criticism, which redirects our attention to the physicality and the thingness of the text, is perhaps of especial interest to the literary scholar. The program of environmental discourse, as those above, already implies a prognosis of what is wrong with Western ideas and behavior, and remedies to be prescribed. As a largely Western awakening, Western because it is the rich first nation, the rich first world, that has first emerged from modernity into the postmodern and the post-industrial, and has experienced firsthand and ahead of the rest of the world, with fear and remorse, the post-relish, quote-unquote, intruding sky of Wordsworth's young nutpicker. Environmental discourse thus partakes of the nature of a confession, and in seeking reform and salvation has demonstrated a measure of humility of the contrite. This uncondescending humility, contrasting sharply with the mainstream modernist arrogance of domination and colonizing, but consonant with the spirit of Buddhist ego-effacement, is revealed in the awakening of the West unto the world and the earth, which is no longer conceived of as a subhuman, non-human other to be possessed and conquered, but rather as an enfolding subject, and informs the spirit of a true globalism, which sponsors the homecoming of humanism, which Ehrenfeld calls arrogant, to inhumanism, and of anthropocentrism to ecocentrism, and with the mind to the body. This seems to me a spirit that suffuses the poetry of Walt Whitman and many other canonical writers. The most celebrated confession, that is the most significant and controversial early analysis of the causes of environmental crisis, coming 5 years after Carson had shown its enormity, was perhaps the historian Dean White Jr.'s now classic, The Historical Roots of Our Ecological Crisis. Dean White attributes the crisis to the extreme anthropocentrism of Christianity. His position, of course, has been very controversial, and the debate continues to this day. Even though before Dean White, Henry Schneider in the 1950s in Myth and Text has already touched upon this issue. I quote from Schneider's poem in the logic section of Myth and Text, one poem. It is written slowly. The last decent carpentry them Jews have ever made. Unquote. It's a greater slur here, I'm sorry. It was White who had most thoroughly enunciated the anthropocentrism of Christianity as a source of current environmental ills.